Alright, so chapter 181 of Chainsaw Man really delivered on the ship aspect of things. However, the strange development that's been slowly unfolding is that I guess we're no longer talking about Asaden, but rather Yoruden. So in terms of clarification for the mind melt that was chapter 180, we've got some new info, however, honestly not a whole lot. In this chapter we learned that in order to escape the aging devil's realm, you apparently need to stay there for 1,000 years, which allows you to turn into a tree, and once the tree's life cycle is complete and it rots away into the earth and takes your soul and entire being with it, you can then return to your mortal body. There's no clarification whether this is the method that the supposed escapee that was mentioned in chapter 180 used to flee this realm. However, given that the ex-devil hunter delivered that piece of information and now this new piece of information, I find it likely that this is indeed what he meant. I think the important thing to note about this condition is the fact that it's specifically mentioned that you can return to your mortal body and not just return to the mortal world. If it was stated that you can return to the mortal world, that could be interpreted as rebirth, but since the mortal body is mentioned, this means the possibility of this realm being in a state of limbo where time does not flow parallel to the real world is still possible, as we talked about a week ago. So even if we do end up seeing these two, I guess, suffering for 1,000 years, plus the life cycle of a tree becoming nothing, which I honestly don't have the slightest clue of how long that could possibly take, that still doesn't mean that they'll necessarily appear in the mortal world 1,000 years in the future. I still find it unlikely that Denji, Asa, and Yoru will escape this realm through conventional methods though. Currently, I see the likelihood of Fami somehow coming to rescue them as the biggest potential for them getting out. Yoru also attempted the same method she used to escape the Eternity Devil's realm, which was turning the entire realm into her possession and then turning it into a weapon, but this didn't work, as we already learned in chapter 180 that devil powers simply don't work in this realm at all, and Yoru does actually say that the aging devil is stronger than her. So potentially, if we assume that Fami is stronger than the aging devil, then maybe she could infiltrate and somehow get the two out, but this is all just speculation that ultimately will be cleared up in the weeks to come. However, the first actually relevant aspect of this chapter is the absolute state of Denji's mental well-being. So Denji goes through a meltdown in this chapter when Yoru begins blaming him for the situation they're all in. I thought he was genuinely unconscious during last week's chapter, but when Yoru hits him, there's no sign of him, I guess, snapping out of it. He just goes straight to crying, which implies that he's indeed been conscious this whole time, but paralyzed and burnt out by sadness. You can tell that he's going through some seriously heavy trauma, likely thinking about Aki and power specifically when saying, "Every single person who gets involved with me winds up miserable." I suspect that this is the moment where the reality of Nayuta's death truly hits him as well, drawing him down to a sadness I don't believe he's ever been at before, or at least not one that we've seen him at before, which is saying a lot. Whether Nayuta is truly dead in the series is irrelevant, because from Denji's perspective, that is the truth. He saw her head coming through the conveyor belts and just fucking snapped. And she was arguably the one person he cared about the most in the entire world, his only family, making this reaction entirely justifiable. Not that being trapped in an infinite realm of a fucked up devil isn't already reason enough for a mental breakdown, but Denji's situation is just absolutely vile right now. I personally find it hard to believe that Nayuta actually is dead, by the way, but that remains to be seen, I guess. The second relevant part of this chapter is that Yoru just straight up went in for a smooch. And yes, I mean specifically Yoru, not Asa, because you can see the scars on her face, which only show up when Yoru is in control of Asa's body. The love triangle between Asa, Denji, and Yoru if you can even call it a love triangle. I don't even know what the fuck to call it at this point. It's genuinely something I'm really excited to see develop even further in Chainsaw Man. Fuck a climax, fuck a death devil, fuck the horsemen, fuck Fami, fuck it all. I just want to see how this clown fiesta pans out at this point. It's such a Fujimoto move to make Yoru the one who's starting to go crazy over Denji instead of Asa. Admittedly, the true meaning of all this could be that Asa's starting to somehow get more control over Yoru, leading to her emotions bleeding into hers. Or perhaps they're slowly becoming an equal singular entity. Again, that all remains to be seen. I'm not gonna waste more of your time, but what did you think of this new chapter? Let me know. I've been loving all the comments and discussion on my recent Chainsaw Man videos. It's a blast to read through now that I've finally returned from a long trip to the grocery store. Sorry, I was just supposed to get some milk and cigarettes, but I guess I came back with a goddamn weekly upload schedule or something. I also got lost and recorded all this stock footage looking ass shit. But anyways, if you want to see more videos like this, make sure to like and subscribe. It'd be pretty dope to hit 30k before the end of the year, honestly. Thank you to all my patrons, and a special shout out to Tier 3 freak Crimson Nomad. Stay safe and don't forget to wash your ass.